and welcome back to the Legislative Minority segment of Live at the Legislature. I'm Kaio Keloha Lindsay, your host, and joining us for his last episode of the season, we just found out, is Representative Gene Ward, coming to us from East Honolulu, representing House District 17, which goes from Hawaii to Kalama Valley. Rep. Ward, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Kaio. I didn't realize the session has gone so fast. So this is the wrap-up, or last session. We don't have one afterwards, or someone else is taking it?
I think someone else might be taking it, but we're...
Okay, we got one more after this then.
Yeah, one or two. So we're at about maybe going into the fourth quarter of session. If we were to use the sports analogy, we have the second crossover vote today. So let me just get your analysis so far of session this year, where we're at, kind of where we're going in the next 3 weeks.
When you say second crossover, that means we're less than 3 weeks out, and we're kind of in the pre-conference committee where the huddle between the House and the Senate starts. And because the legislature is still closed to the public, no one's going to know until the actual results of it come out. But what we got a couple of wins and a couple of loses, I guess you'd say. Winning, in effect, we balanced the budget, but probably because of the feds, we're not going in the hole. But as Senator Lee suggested, hey, we got to get ourselves turned around because we got a few $1 billion we're going to have to pay off in the next sessions. And not just one, but multiple if we don't get the economy going. And that's probably where the negative side is. We didn't get really, other than rhetoric, diversification of the economy. I don't know if you saw the advertiser this morning. It says, hey, we've been talking about it. We haven't really delivered anything. Senator Wakai was very critical about talk about deliver stuff, particularly things like Hollywood of the Pacific, space travel. Probably the other thing that we did good was we're nearing a good percentage of vaccinations. We're still kind of low compared to other countries and even other states. We've taken a good care of the public health phenomenon. And everybody hears about herd immunity. Basically, it means once you get 70% of the people, or a majority, you've basically isolated this stupid pandemic disease called COVID-19, and you've pushed it off, as I like to say, into the ash heap of history. So that has been a very good development, but I'd like to see more outreach to getting the economy going. Even before the pandemic, we had some real difficulties with people just having enough money to make their ends meet. 58% were on the edge. And unless the economy gets bigger, we're going to be continually in trouble as the state of Hawaii. Cost of living, cost of housing, all that crazy stuff we've been talking about, we've not really done anything about. So I give the session probably a C. Some of the good things, but some of the things are in the long run. I think the summary of it is like where we are probably having is a difficult time getting out of the pandemic, as we had a difficult time adjusting to getting into it. It's still very awkward. People are making decisions that go backwards, go forward, and we've done this and that. But I think it's time to open the economy. And if I can add, we should be opening the Capitol as a role model to show that, hey, we're getting close to going back to normal, and that should be the normalization of the state capitol. Right now, nobody can get in unless they got a special pass and a special permission, I guess you would call it. Anyways, that's for an openers. You got any other questions?
Well, I'm curious because around this time last year, you and Representative McDermott were early proponents of finding a way to travel safely here in Hawaii. So just a year later, we're about 2/3 capacity as far as visitors compared to pre-pandemic levels. Are you optimistic of where we're at? How do you grade the state's performance on that, and what we look for moving forward with tourism?
Thank you for mentioning that, because over a year ago, I worked with the White House to get FDA and DOT approval for the state of Hawaii to get permission to test people before they arrive. It was very controversial, but with that permission, we kind of sat on our hands. Alaska picked it up and ran with it. Now the whole world basically is having some kind of restriction. They're talking about a passport. Hopefully we're going to call ours the safe travel vaccination card, nothing to do with the passport. But what we've done is try to balance between lives and livelihood. And that has been a test for every leader in the state of Hawaii, if not the nation, if not the world. So what McDermott and I tried to do is say, hey guys, let's get a plan. And that was introduced. We had we started out with a bang. We had this special committee on COVID. I forget what the name of it is for the House. That we had a special one in the Senate. And now kind of we don't have any let's get the economy open committee that says let's facilitate this thing. Case in point, I went to Maui to give a speech last weekend. My office called to see what a rental would cost. You know what the cost was for the rental? $840 per day, not per week, per day. You're telling me that we're going to open our economy and we're going to charge these people $840 or $850 a day? Give me a break. It's already a difficult thing jumping through the hoops to get 72 hours ahead of time testing. So I'm hoping that we've learned enough so we can get out of this, but in a less clumsy way than we kind of got into it when we did this, that, and the other thing. And one of the disappointments in terms of the economic diversification is that we have our own oceanit Patrick Sullivan spit in a cup, 10-minute test for $20, and we could start a new pharmaceutical industry. But what have we done? Just like when I worked on the White House to get the permission to get this thing moving, we sat on our hands. We could have made it contingent upon FDA approval, and we could have had the schools tested, the teachers. Everybody is sure if you don't have the test, if you don't have the vaccine, we have the test for you. So with that is where we've missed an opportunity, which I hope people will pick up and run with the Patrick Sullivan oceanit, spit in a cup, let's test everybody so everybody feels safe. That's something we can still do, but it's a disappointment given that we've been in this pandemic for 1 year.
Transitioning to local issues, we've got about a minute left. Can you tell there was a resolution on the Kaka'ako Makai properties, and you had a lot to say about that. Can you just briefly summarize what that issue was about?
You're trying to make my blood pressure go up too early in the morning, man. Come on. That was a bait and switch. We gave the Hawaiians, in terms of the $200 million that we owed them, we gave them land instead of cash. It was what a deal. And the valuation of the $200 million was that we could allow them to build 400 feet condominiums right at Kaka'ako, where there's a beautiful view of the ocean, etc. Well, the bill that's going in fact, it's going to be on the floor today. I hope Speaker Psyche is listening because he doesn't like me to hit that because it's his district. We are now saying, oh, we want to renegotiate that. The $200 million we're going to devalue because we're not going to allow you to build beyond that. In fact, we're going to stymie you as much as possible, which to me, the bottom line is, and I know it's time to go, it's a land grab. It's against the Hawaiian community like they've been for the last 100 years. 28,000 people on the wait list, and they're saying, well, we're going to make rental housing. Well, yep, that's good. That's a temporary fix. But in the long run, we have a moral obligation to put the Hawaiians back on the land. And this is another way to push them farther away from that goal, which we agreed to. Other than that, I have no strong feelings about the issue.
We've got about an hour until floor session starts, so hopefully your blood pressure will go down by then. Thank you for joining us this year and this season. Thanks again to the folks at Olelo, and for those who are joining us at home. We will see you next week here on Live at the Legislature. Aloha.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Olelo. Aloha.
What are you doing? We have to go. I'm gonna be late for work.
It's Tuesday morning. I gotta record live at the legislature on Olelo. Senate and House leadership discussing what's happening at the state capitol.
So just watch it on the news tonight. Come on, let's go.
Hey, this is like getting the news before it's news. If only I could get this remote to work.
There. Can we go now?
No DVR? No problem. Watch Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. on Channel 49.